Hello, it is Scott Newcomb with Zenby AI, and welcome to the Systems Are Sexy podcast. Today, I am joined by James Brown. He's the founder of Real Home Solutions and Colorado Co-Living. He spent the last several years helping renters become homeowners through a refined rent-to-own model, while also building one of Colorado's most effective co-living operations. James brings a sharp mix of marketing experience, investor insight, and real world deal flow. So, James, welcome to the show. How we doing?
Thanks. Thanks. I'm alive and I'm well.
Those are two good things to start with. Yeah, maybe just kind of give our listeners an idea, a brief background on your businesses and what problems you're solving.
Now, so I got into real estate specifically on the investing side. Took quite a long time diving into all the different asset classes and ways you can make money in real estate because there's a lot more than fix and flipping and short-term rentals and long-term rentals, right? So basically chose rent to own investing for many reasons. There's a lot less hassle with people that have an owner's mindset, that have the intention of buying the house rather than just renters. And I'm helping people, right? I'm helping people become homeowners. I'm not just the eternal landlord, you know? So that's why I like rent to own. So I'm helping people and I'm making money. It's just a good combination.
That's right. When you first started rent to own, were there any gaps or challenges in the market you're trying to solve, or maybe like how that has shaped your approach, kind of what you saw other people doing?
Yeah. I mean, for rent to own, it's been done badly, inappropriately, I guess. I don't know the word, but basically like the industry in general has been given a bad name by people either intentionally or unintentionally putting people into a home that have no chance of getting a loan in the future. Oh, and my mission is to change that. Like, I don't want anybody not to be able to get the home, you know, get their hopes up. Like, this is not, I want to actually help people and not hurt anybody. So my mission is to change that. And so, like when we've talked before, I mentioned I teach a continuing education class for realtors. I like lenders to be there too, so they can understand the process and how we actually do it the correct way, set people up for success. So uh, I guess that's the gap that I saw to actually do it right, make money, and help people.
Yeah. Have you thought about like maybe like what are some examples of what hasn't worked in the past or what you're trying to achieve, or maybe like someone comes to you that's gone down this road before and they had a bad experience? Like, how do you say, hey, this is how we approach things differently?
The main thing is that we get with a lender, a licensed mortgage loan originator, to go through all the steps. We don't skip that part. Like we make sure we get all of their documents, um, their their bank statements, their income verification, background checks, all the stuff that you normally do. Because sometimes there's loan programs out there for people. They don't have to do rent own. Like rent own is just a backup. It's a good backup for certain people. So that's the process that I always hammer home is like, that's what we do. Not every company or individual selling rent to own does that. Most don't. And that's what's given this industry a bad name. But that's part of our process. So it's kind of a CYA for us and for the buyer too.
Do you think like agents or investors are skeptical about rent to own? Maybe like things have happened in the past, or maybe they've like confused his clients, or there's just been issues with it. I'm just wondering, like, from your perspective, what part of that makes investors or agents hesitant about going forward?
Yeah, that's the conversation I have all the time. It's agents and lenders. For them specifically, they've maybe heard of it or they've heard good or bad. Probably the bad. That's the part that sticks in their head. And they're like, well, we don't want to put our thumbprint on this deal and put one of our clients in a bad spot, right? Then it comes back on them. But so my mission is educating them on the right way to do it so that they feel comfortable. Investors, if they've never done it, there's a little education there, kind of outlining the benefits of it versus because most people, especially when they're new to investing, especially in single family homes, just picture doing a long-term rental. But then when they realize all the reasons that rent to own's better, like especially with the way we do it, finding the buyer first, we know how much money they have to pay up front. We know how much income they've got and what they're willing to pay for rent. We have the purchase price for them set, in the future. We know all that before they even move in. And so compare that to a long-term rental, you know, you're just guessing at what the market's going to pay. You're getting a renter that doesn't have that owner's mindset. And they might be nice people and take care of your property, or they might not, but there's no skin in the game. There's a security deposit, sure, but it's not like we ask for more than just a basic security deposit. So to answer your question, it's like educating them on all the benefits. So I put together a nice FAQ video that goes through all the questions we get, all the kind of objections and questions they got. It's really helpful for
Yeah.
investors to get their heads wrapped around it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I was gonna ask you about, co-living, 'cause when we spoke earlier, you were mentioning, like, you felt like co-living is one of the few ways to cash flow properties in Colorado, and I'm wondering, have there been any, like, operational hurdles that you faced or, like, how you overcame those?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're in the affordable housing, you know, price range. So you get a lot of people that are kind of barely hanging on. They might have drug and alcohol problems, mental issues. Sure. Yeah, you get that. So you're dealing with kind of a different class of renters. So staying on top of them, like we work with Pad Split, which is kind of like the Airbnb app of co-living. They bill once a week. So if they get behind, you're not a month behind, right? Um, Nice thing about co-living is, like, say you got 6 people in a house, 6 different bedrooms, you're not going to have full vacancy, right? You might have 1 or 2 people that are transitioning in and out, but not everybody all at once where you got, oh shit, yeah, $4,000 mortgage because
Yeah,
some one family moved out, right? Now you just got a couple you're dealing with. So
right. When it comes to that, like, if the tenant screening and maybe kinda like the day-to-day management can be time consuming, have you automated any part of that process, or do you have a system in place for doing that?
I have my system. As far as, like, one of the main things is having a Zoom with them from the beginning, just an interview. I don't meet in person with anybody, but I like to get on a Zoom kind of face to face and walk through what co-living is if they don't know what it is and what our expectations are. So starting with that is good. And then operationally, I mean, like we use Telegram for communications, things like that. The Pad Split platform kind of does all the heavy lifting of screening tenants. It's doing background checks and income verification, all that, and all the billing. So we don't have to do that. There's some operators that do all of it, including for what I do, or my main thing is helping people identify an existing property that will work for co-living, because not all properties work, or finding a new one and then setting it up. So like we work with Pad Split and they require it to be furnished, which I agree with. So we furnish everything, even bedding, they move in, they got fresh sheets, and then day to day, the billing is handled by Pad Split. Cleaning, we do, when somebody moves out, we have it cleaned. And then we do a whole house cleaning once a month or every 6 weeks, things like that. So
Okay,
does that answer your
got it.
question?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm wondering how, as far as, like, the lead generation marketing side, how do you generate leads for real home solutions? Like, have you found different channels to be more effective than other ones?
Good question. The main thing that I focus on is working with lenders and agents, because we're all in the business. Like, I'm an agent. I'm run across people that might be a good fit for rent to own, rather than doing marketing, Facebook ads or Google ads to those end residents. That's a lot more sorting and sifting through people that don't read ads, that kind of thing. But I'm going to start doing that. But yeah, lenders and agents is kind of my main source.
kinda like networking and your basically your sphere of influence kind of mentality?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, whenever the subject comes up, I'm kind of the known guy in Colorado. Like, "Rent to own, go to James." So, that's 5 years of just hammering the message
Yeah,
home, you know?
I hear you. Have you ever thought about, like and it could be marketing, it could be operations, like, there's the one part of your business, if I could wave a magic wand and automate what it would be. Have you ever thought in those terms?
Yeah, it's a good question. Not not really sure.
I know it's a big question.
Yeah, I'm always trying to find ways to tweak, and every business is different, right? Like, rent to own's one thing, co-living is a different one.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, so, like, maybe communication or follow-up, because I feel like just look at the sales funnel, that seems to be something that, like, getting people to the top of the funnel, but just all the way through and just not doing the sometimes the communication falls apart, it's not gonna work, and that it kills your conversions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're dealing with 3 people in our house right now that are behind on payments and not communicating with us, and there's a little disconnect between pad split and us, like, trying to, like, keep the communications and the timing,
Yeah.
that there's a little bit of a challenge there. I don't know how to if that's a solvable thing, like something that you could help with, but I don't know. The management side of, like, the co-living, I'm stepping away from that. Have somebody else come in that's got some better systems because systems are so important.
Yes.
I've seen the failure points just recently in my, so, you know.
If there was, let's say somebody's listening right now is interested in what you're doing, for either business, do you have advice or maybe like, hey, if you could talk to yourself 10 years ago, like somebody entering the business that's not familiar with what you do or how to succeed at it, is there some wisdom you would pass along to them?
If you get into a partnership, maybe use some chat GPT to help you ask the right questions. Partnerships, they're so complex. It's a marriage, right? And identify what your strengths are, what you like to do, and where your lack is, and try to find a partner that has the opposite. I mean, you look at examples of Jobs and Wozniak with Apple, like, those are 2 different guys, and it worked, right? You see that in real successful partnerships. So that's one. Hire a mentor, pay, because you're going to pay through your time and heartache if you're just trying to figure it out on your own. Most of us entrepreneurs are pretty, like, go-getters, like, I can figure this out. Man, you can shortcut a lot of heartache and time if you just pay for somebody that's already been there and done that. At least if you're doing something pretty new, at least somebody's got a framework that's similar, right? I think that's also good advice.
Yeah, I had a call earlier with a gentleman he's kind of in a niche in the real estate industry, and he essentially just cold called or cold emailed somebody that was already in the industry in a different part of the country and just said, "Hey, could I shadow you for the day or something?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, sure." And that's how he got started. It's just, he said to pay his time to get there, but I'm always like advocating if you could do something for free or inexpensively, do that too. I mean, I know it's hard to find those people and may not respond to you, but there are people out there that want to help you succeed, especially that have been in the industry for a while. So
Yeah.
I think that's another avenue too for people.
Yeah. There's masterminds, and if
Yes.
you can provide some value, like, to your point, like, one of all of my mentors have been in other markets, so I'm not competing. And they won't bring on, people in their market. But if they're in another market, great. And if you can partner, so, like, when we got started with rent to own, we brought our investors and our partner, mentor in another market. He had the buyers, the rent to own buyers. Everybody's happy. Everybody made money. There's no stepping on toes. So, yeah, that's good advice.
How do you obviously running 2 businesses and just trying to have a life is can be challenging. How do you have a system in place or you just kinda go day by day as far as time management?
I don't want to show you my calendar because but I try to time block, and protect certain things. Other things, move it, move it, move it. I didn't get to that today. Try to prioritize. And as far as, stuff outside of work, I like to kiteboard and dirt bike and snow bike and snowboard, hang out with friends, and so I don't have those necessarily time blocked. I might plan a trip or something, a weekend trip and get that in my calendar. Might not do an open house that weekend as an example, but it's a trick to get that balance. I realize that my mental health is critical, and I gotta set aside time for that. And working out, I try to work out 2 or 3 times a week, or go for a walk. Just get out from in front of the computer and Zooms and phone calls.
I know what you mean. It's just so hard to break away from the computer, but you gotta do it. Put the phone down, even if it's a 20-minute walk. Just you gotta do something because otherwise you're gonna go crazy if that's all you do. Have you thought about I know you're bringing someone in to kinda help with your systems. Have you thought about like, "Hey, here's where I want these 2 businesses to be in the next 2 to 3 years." Do you think that far ahead as far as where you wanna take them?
I'm always thinking about it, but I don't have an answer for that. I am shifting. Markets shift, and I think there's a lot of opportunity with rent to own. So, like, my big goal, both for rent to own and co living, is kind of build a network. Like we were talking, like my mentors in another market, like build that out for both of those kind of lanes. I've got limited time to like attack these huge goals, but that's where partnering with some other people. Like I've got a couple guys that I'm partnering with on the co living side. So we're setting up a whole referral revenue share network that includes some management, some systems. So yeah, I've got big goals
How
for
do you
both of those.
And I'm wondering, like, you're just kinda like you're sitting in your office and trying to figure out how to do that. How do you find those people that to potentially partner with on opportunities like this? Is it just prior business deals, or are you actively looking for people like that?
I'm always looking like, definitely a networker and a connector. Every time I meet someone, like, you need to meet this person. And I'm always connecting. So like these co-living guys I met through a mentorship through Sam Wiegert. He's got a mentorship, paid mentorship. So we all paid to be in it. And we all met at the first national co-living conference last year. And so these two guys I met and like, hey, you're doing this. This guy wants to start a podcast where I host my podcast. I'm like, hey, why don't we put it on that platform, a co-living specific one, and build this network? So just trying to make those connections. So that's how that worked out specifically.
Yeah. So if people wanna learn more about your business and what you're doing, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
I've got a link tree, site link tree / partner with James Brown. Just go there. I've got a bunch of links on there.
Well, thanks, James. This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. This was a good one.
Yes.